Hello, this is Nitin Dahad with EE Times. I'm talking to Dr. Max Slawinski, who's the CEO of a company called Canatu. Max, hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm nice. Nice to meet you.
And Max has been explaining to me the business of carbon nanotubes in the whole semiconductor ecosystem, but also in the various other areas, including mobility, robotics, defense, and medical diagnostics. It's something that we've covered a little bit in EE Times, but I think would be very interesting to go into a little bit about what you're doing and what you're trying to enable. Tell us a little bit about Canatu.
So Canatu is one of the first companies industrializing carbon nanotubes. Carbon nanotubes are a very special form of carbon which have superior properties, electrical, transmissive and reliability properties, which enable and shifting the physics in very critical applications in the semiconductor, automotive, medical, defense and further industries. And this is what Canatu tries or is industrializing. But
Canatu was founded, it was a spin out of a university in Finland 20 years ago. It's a startup, but not a startup. It's been going for a while, but I think you joined earlier this year.
Yes.
What's the journey been, and what's the differentiation that Canatu provides compared to what's out there on the market at the moment?
Yeah, so Canatu is a spin-off of Aalto University in Helsinki, and the whole business and the whole product of Canatu built around our so-called tri-deposition technology.
Okay.
So there are many ways to manufacture and process carbon nanotubes. But it makes a big difference in the physical properties how you do it. And the tri-deposition method is for sure the most clean method to deposit carbon nanotubes, leading to very unique physical and technical properties.
Okay, now we talked about some of the different markets, but first of all, let's just go back to why did you join Canatu? I mean, you have a little bit of a history over maybe like 15 years or so. Yeah. First of all in LEDs and then in power electronics. Yeah. With various organizations including Infineon and Soitec. What was the reason to come here? Tell us a bit about your sort of journey here.
Yeah, so my journey started somehow in 2008, and it started already at that time in a triangle with the Aachen University, Philips and Extron. So right from the beginning, I could work with equipment using new semiconductor materials. So I was lucky being in an early phase of silicon carbide, gallium nitride and organic semiconductor adoption. So I'm really excited about the possibilities new materials outside of the classical silicon world always delivered and how they shifted the physics. And Canatu combines all these things on my journey with this new exciting carbon nanotube material, being equipment and a material company or product company at the same time. And so it combining somehow the whole journey I had in the almost last 2 decades.
And you know what, one of the things I think from talking to you earlier is you've transitioned from this really technically competent, very technical person to a business, and I think that was through your mentors, the people you worked with from NXP, from Infineon, from Soitec. But I think what you saw, from what I've understood, is Canatu has this interesting technology, and you want to try and figure out how to make sure that gets to a market, and that involves building an ecosystem for what you're doing.
Yeah. So I was lucky that I could fail early. So my first industrial step was trying to found an OLED startup, and I made a failure many scientists do, so much in love with the science that we missed the fact that it needs to have a good business case. And I had the chance learning from these failures and seeing frameworks, seeing patterns where really disruptive technologies not only work technically but also are commercially competitive. And I really want to bring that experience into the team, into Canatu, to make it a successful company based on the tri-deposition carbon nanotube platform.
And that's your core proposition at Canatu, which is the tri-deposition reactor,
yes,
which is a equipment, but I think your business is around both the equipment and the consumables as well as services. But tell us about the applications in the different markets, and then we'll go to the business.
Yeah, so we have 3 different business units. So for sure, the most focus at the moment is our semiconductor business unit, where we sell on the one side the reactor and on the other side also the consumables for the semiconductor manufacturing of GPUs and memory devices, so really advanced nodes. So we are a small but want to become an important player really of the high-end semiconductor manufacturing.
And that's in the EUV inspection, the pellicles, the protection, but also a lot of the inspection, is that right?
That is for the inspection of EUV patterns and masks, as well as of the manufacturing based on EUV of GPUs, CPUs and memory devices. So that is for sure at the moment the most prominent, and also for us business-wise the most important part. Then in business even older is electrodes, carbon nanotube electrodes as a basis for products we deliver, and I think our biggest and most important product lines here are ADAS and LiDAR camera heaters, which make sure that, for example, in future a robotaxi can work in the Arctic, in fog under each condition, where we really are a supplier of tier 1 players and even OEMs as a tier 2 company. And the last business is creating, manufacturing, or has a target to manufacture point-of-care diagnostic devices in the medical sector, where again the carbon nanotube platform from Canatu is the core differentiator, but where we really want to integrate the full supply chain until the detection device, delivering it to clinics in the future.
Now, you're very early in all of these. I think your published revenue, you're a public company, you threw a SPAC I think a couple of years ago, so I think last year 15 million euros, but I guess very early stage, what you're trying to do is build the ecosystem. What's the key challenge? Because I think you're doing, for example, in the EUV inspection, I mean, there is availability of bulk CNTs, but I think you're not doing the bulk, you're doing very specialist.
Yes.
So what's your differentiator in terms of what you enable, and I think, and what's the challenge there?
So I think the dry deposition is leading to a very different technical result compared to the carbon nanotube bulk method. So I think we are really technically differentiating with respect to transmission and reliability in the EUV sector. But of course the challenge, like for all new materials, is they need to prove that they work in this complex semiconductor manufacturing supply chain.
Yeah.
We have seen that with silicon carbide, we have seen that with gallium nitride. They are since 2-3 decades on the market, but it took a time. The industry is conservative because semiconductor manufacturing chains are long and sensitive, and if one thing goes wrong, the whole
There's hundreds of different
chain,
steps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this journey we have to accept and go like all the other disruptive players as well, and this is for sure at the moment what we do.
And have you had any early successes yet already?
Yes, so we have already our reactors in the field, so we have started already to build this ecosystem, because it's not only about technical superior products, it's also about a resilient supply chain. We have already reactors with, for example, with our customer FST from Korea sold, and started to create with our partners together the ecosystem to be able making it a new standard for pellicles in the EUV manufacturing.
Okay, and in the other areas, what kind of, I mean, you talked about the mobility and also the diagnostics.
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about the sort of differentiators and successes.
So I think now that we talk about autonomous driving, a very important product will be our ADAS camera heater. So what is it doing? We are selling to OEMs and tier 1s a heater device which you can laminate into the windshield, in which takes care that on the one side the camera visual is always perfect, independent whether you have ice or fog, and that then the autonomous driving based on camera and LiDAR is always working. And for that, I think the most important, if I would use a robotaxi, is that I reach my target safe.
Yeah.
And our small heater device is, I think, a very important component on that journey. And then, of course, talking about point of care diagnostics and home care, carbon nanotubes are very easy to modulate. They are very sensitive, for example, for sepsis and testosterone. And I think we can create a new standard in sensitivity and diagnosis speed and costs with our solution in the end of this, and in particular in the next decade.
So what's the big thing for Canatu now, and for you, what do you want to do next? And
Okay.
I know you're public, so you can't say a lot about the forward-looking, but I think, yeah, just what's your feeling?
So we just published that we changed a little bit the organization, and two very established executives has recently joined our company. We have a new CTO and a new CMO, which bring into our young team a lot of experience and which have seen how big companies work. So we professionalize our company here and making it more international. And I think these colleagues will also help us to become step by step more credible and established, in particular, of course, in the semiconductor supply chain, but also in the mobility, defense and robotics sector. And I think we can have a wonderful future. We have super strong, organically growing markets, not even only in the 5, maybe even only in the next 10 and 15 years. We just need to be early and reliable enough.
And you're still young, so you can still figure out how to do this.
Yes.
And what's the biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is, of course, we are a relatively small company.
Yeah.
We play also against established and known players. We have, by technical performance, by delivery, to get a good reputation in the industry, that we are more and more serious, seen by the big and older players in the industry. This is what we're building every day, and I'm very confident we will succeed in this.
Well, Max Slawinski, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you as well.
All the best.
All the best.
Okay.